What's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. I got this idea from multiple people a long time ago and then once again guys, so I figure it's time that I finally drop it. As some would call him the powerless anime character, well, a lot of people call him that. What if Naruto was the reincarnation of Rimuru Tempest? From that time I got reincarnated as a slime, guys. I am sure that all of you are aware of who he is, but if you don't, there's nothing to worry about, because everything will be explained in the what if, guys. So if you enjoy and want to see part 2, just go ahead, comment down below and tell me, and I'll be posting it as soon as possible for you guys to enjoy. All the links for the other channels that I possess will be down in the description, so go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button. And don't forget to go ahead and check out What If Naruto Was Left 4 Dead by Team 7 over in Anime King 2. So without further ado or wasting any more time, let's begin this now, guys. A great tragedy had just struck Konoha. The nine-tailed fox had wreaked havoc upon the village, claiming countless lives. In the end, what was left was Minato Namikaze dead, Kushina Uzumaki dead. However, they brought something into this world, a young boy, a son. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. However, at the moment, Hiruzen Sarutobi, once again leader of the Hidden Leaf Village, was trying to understand the situation. He was not alone. A man known as Jiraiya of the Sannin, godfather to the young boy, was currently trying to understand as well. He did everything within his power to try to find some sort of seal, some sort of mark, but there was none, absolutely none, which made absolutely no sense. The boy does not have the 9 tails, Jiraiya said. He was in a deep depression at the moment after losing the closest thing that he ever had to a son, and the closest thing that he ever had to a daughter as well, a family that had taken his book to name their own child, the name from his main protagonist from his book. A family that he thought would go for the ages, a family that he thought would change everything. They were all a part of greatness. He remembered the prophecy, and yet, to find out that Minato Kushina was gone, it was extremely hard on him. Just being here was hard, however, Hiruzen needed him for this. I don't understand, Hiruzen said. Kushina was unable to tell them anything within her final moments. The only thing that she told them was his name. Before she slipped away, she wasn't able to tell them what happened to the 9 tails. The beast was nowhere to be found. It was definitely not in the village. They had no idea what happened, no idea how the beast was even released. Minato was the greatest seal master out of the both of them. How the beast got away was something they couldn't understand. And how the beast was now missing was something they couldn't understand either. Upon seeing the child, Hiruzen feared the worst, that he sealed it within his own son, knowing the reputation that Jinchurikis had, but after checking the child constantly, on multiple occasions now, there was no seal, no formula, nothing at all that would suggest that Minato sealed the beast inside of his boy. So that begs the question, just exactly where was the 9-tailed fox? Time skip. An argument was taking place. at none other than the Uchiha compound. Usually, she be the good wife and simply do as she was told, not making things a hassle or a problem, but for him to deny this request that she had. She wasn't going to take this one lying down. It didn't matter if he was the head of the clan or not. An argument was taking place between Fukaku Uchiha and Mikoto Uchiha as well. On the outside, a young boy with dark hair was away from all the cursing that was taking place, with his younger brother in his hand, as he cooed at him, watching as his younger brother giggle and smile up towards him. It wasn't long after that Naruto Uzumaki was adopted by Mikoto Uchiha. See no reason to not let this happen. If the boy had contained the 9 tails, that would be another set of problems because, given the recent influx of problems and the stigma around the Uchiha clan, yes, but the boy did not possess that power. And Mikoto Uchiha and Kushina Uzumaki were best of friends. There was only a few people that knew about the boy's true heritage, and Mikoto was one of them, along with Fukaku as well. However, Fukaku was against this, being the man that he was. He didn't want her to take up this responsibility. After all, she already had a young child to focus on, and that was Sasuke, one of his sons. This boy was not related to him, and there was always some problems between Fukaku and Minato. While it might not seem on the surface, Minato was a very precise and finalized man, as many around the village knew that he did not take the hassle or anything becoming too problematic. He was known as one of the fastest men in the world for a reason, always solving problems rather quickly. However, there were some dealings that led to some rather heated discussion between him and Fukaku in the past, which led to a future resentment. So hearing this, knowing that the boy was not his blood, Fukaku was not agreeing to any of this. However, Mikoto refused to just take his word and lie down with it, as there was also a stigma. Most clans never went out of their way to care for another. Look within the Uchiha clan or the Hyuga clan. The blood was all Hyuga or the blood was all Uchiha. However, Mikoto was not going to let that change her mind, knowing that if it was she that took her final breath on that night, Kushina would do everything she could for her children. So she would do the same for her son, and nothing will stop her from doing that. When she first brought him there, Fukaku simply walked away, showing his disagreement to the whole idea. However, she did not let that bother her one bit. Itachi, being the gentle child that he always was, came over and looked down towards the blonde-haired boy. His eyes were a deep shade of blue as he opened them and reached out like he wanted to grab Itachi. Itachi leaning forward as he grabbed a few strands of his hair. He didn't pull hard or anything, he was simply giggling, causing Itachi to smile, knowing that him and Sasuke would get along rather great. And that was good. He knew that his father wasn't 100 with the idea. However, he would always be the peacemaker between them and simply watch over Naruto and make sure that there was nothing that aggravated his father from Naruto's side. And he truly believed that his father would get around and become more comfortable with the idea. Time skip. A scream could be heard, coming from a young boy. He was 5 years old. His name was Naruto Uzumaki, as he was screaming in pain, flames burning him. You might be asking, how did he end up in this situation with another young man nearby named Sasuke Uchiha as he frantically tried to help him? Well, Naruto Uzumaki was the adoptive son of Mikoto Uchiha. Naruto was a calm, sweet young boy that saw the people that came into his life as a blessing. He never knew any other mother, so he called Mikoto mom, despite knowing that he was adopted. She told him that she could not tell him who his father was. Naruto trusted her with everything, so he accepted her words for it. But she told him about his mother, Kushina Uzumaki, her bestest friend. As Naruto saw, Itachi as his older brother, and Sasuke as his brother. However, Fukaku was never one to show emotion to his own child, that was Sasuke. While he did have a common ground with Itachi, he never really showed that much emotion with Sasuke at all. Therefore, all Naruto got from him was cold indifference. Yes, that was all Naruto got from him on a daily basis. It wasn't just him alone though. The council as well. Maybe it was because he wasn't a full-blown Uchiha, but they did not seem to take too full kindly of him, but his mother and brothers was always there to make sure that he was safe and protected. The other people in the clan had no problem with him. At first they were a bit standoffish, but as the time went by, they started to see him as one of them. But the council and Fukaku did not see him as such, as they went out of their way to try to make him know that he did not belong there. His mother had always been there to make sure that he was okay despite everything, and he had to say his life was not bad. A life without anyone and being on his own sounded a lot worse. As for the situation that we're now currently dealing with, both boys had snuck away to train. Sasuke was told not to perform the technique on his own, having not fully mastered it yet. However, he wanted to show off for Naruto, so he did said technique, the Fireball Jutsu, what is known as a rite of passage for their clan. However, he overstimulated and burned his own mouth. He turned, as the pain had made him move, as he turned right to Naruto who was standing nearby him. The flames that came from him slammed into Naruto and started to burn the young boy. As Sasuke frantically rushed to his side to help, a voice popped up in Naruto's head, reacquiring skills, heat resistance. As Naruto was patting himself down, expecting his hands to be burning, but he slowly stopped screaming despite Sasuke frantically taking off his shirt to help Naruto, as he was using his shirt to pat Naruto down, mainly hitting him with it. As Naruto pulled himself up, when he looked down, the flames were gone, and his skin had turned completely blue. There were black marks on it like he was burnt. Reacquiring regeneration, the voice spoke up once again, as Naruto watched as his blue skin turned completely blue, the black marking gone before his skin returned back to its normal color. Sasuke looked at Naruto confused. What the hell was that? I have no idea, said Naruto, looking himself over. That was me, Great Kurama. Wait, who is that? Said Naruto, looking around. What? Sasuke said. I didn't hear anyone. You think someone is coming? He was worried because he shouldn't be doing the technique. I'm inside of your head, idiot. Wait, inside of my head? Great Kurama? What the hell is going on? Said Naruto. There's a lot that you need to know. A lot. I've been waiting to tell you. However, I was unable to until this very moment. You finally awakened me. Awaken you? Naruto, have you gone mad? Sasuke said. Who the hell are you talking to? You can't hear that. How would he hear it, you fool? I'm inside of your head. Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Naruto tried to speak within his own mind. I'll talk to you later, whatever you are. I said I'm Great Kurama, you brat. Hey, I'm not a brat. And I said I'll talk to you later, said Naruto. I'm fine, Sasuke. I was just talking to myself a moment ago. That you burn me, Naruto shouted at him. Sasuke stepped back, rubbing the back of his head, looking rather apologetic. It was an accident, he said. I didn't mean to. You can't say anything to anyone. You're lucky that you're my brother, said Naruto. Or I would be kicking your ass right now. Tuh, as if you could, Sasuke said. Naruto snapped his gaze towards him. Fine, fine. I'm sorry, Sasuke said. No need to be so angry. I guess you don't know that technique as much as you thought, said Naruto. Sasuke grumbled but said nothing about it. As Naruto removed the burned shirt that he had, we have to hide the evidence. If they find out that you were using that technique without permission, it's gonna be bad, said Naruto. I have to get rid of the shirt somewhere. The next moment, Naruto's hand turned blue, and his hand completely absorbed the shirt. Sasuke blinked in shock and confusion as the both of them looked at Naruto's hand that returned back to normal. Okay, tell me I'm not the only one that saw that. How would you be the only one when it's my hand, said Naruto. Yeah, but what the hell was that, Sasuke said. Freaking out. He was a child after all, and this was not normal. He doubted that it was. Let's keep this quiet for now until I figure out what the hell is going on, said Naruto, as his mind instantly thought about Fukaku and the council. They already loved to make him know that he wasn't a Uchiha, and he didn't want to cause a problem for the ones that were always standing by his side, mainly Itachi and his mother as well. Well, Sasuke was there too, but he didn't have that much sway in the clan. Despite being the son of Fukaku, he was still a child. But we should really, you don't tell anyone about this, and I don't tell anyone that you almost burned me alive. Do we got a deal, said Naruto. Fine, deal, Sasuke said, but I want to know what the hell is going on. Got that? Fine, said Naruto. Let's just get out of here. Wait, you go and get me a shirt first. It would seem rather weird that I'm not wearing a shirt. I guess you're right, Sasuke said, making his way off, leaving Naruto where he was. Hey, great whatever. Can you hear me? I said, I am Great Kurama. Okay, Great Kurama. Why the hell are you in my head? That's complicated. Explain, Naruto said. Despite his young age, him and Sasuke had a more advanced way of speaking than most children, as they were taught from an early age. Mikoto and Itachi mostly for Naruto. First thing first, you are not supposed to be here. What's that supposed to mean, said Naruto. I mean, you were once alive in another world, and you were brought to this one. From what I don't really know. What do you mean? I just said I don't know. So what's that got to do with me overall, said Naruto. Well, as for myself, I was once something immensely powerful and great, but now I've been reduced and combined with a goddamn information book. Information book? You know you're losing me, Naruto said. You have this thing in your head. A powerful thing that was called the Great Sage once. It evolved into something more powerful known as Raphael. However, once you were birthed into this world and I was placed inside of you, we both combined and I took control, seemingly because I know what I was once before. And what were you, said Naruto. I was the Great Kurama, the nine-tailed fox, keeper of death and destruction, a natural disaster. Wait, what? Why the hell was a nine-tailed placed inside of me? See for yourself. Wait, what's that? Naruto blinked as he was now in a wide open area, a blue domain. Where am I? In your head. Just shut up and watch. Naruto turned his head as he saw a screen. On that screen was Him. Confusion marred his face as Naruto saw himself as a baby. However, he was not alone. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw the red-haired woman. The woman that his mom told him about. His real mother. However, she was not alone. Wait. That man. That's a fourth Hokage. Yes, he's your father, Kurama said. Oh. I guess it makes sense why. They wouldn't want to tell me that soon. Kids being rather hyperactive and all, and talkative. Naruto said understanding why they kept it a secret from him. It never really bothered him, so he did not... Well, he wasn't sure how to feel about it. Naruto watched as Kurama was sealed inside of him, but the next moment the seal corroded away. Confusion marred his face. So you got pulled inside of me and fused with a great sage that was once something that gave me information. Exactly. And now, I'm stuck with you. Are you sure there isn't a way to separate us? If you think there was, wouldn't I have tried that or perhaps trick you into doing so? I'm a walking definition book right now. And description as well. I know a lot. Everything that you interact with. It took you long enough to awaken me and awaken what you truly was. What I truly was? You saw your skin tone change, right? Well, this is your real form. Naruto screamed as he was reduced to a slime. What the hell am I? He said, not feeling his arms or legs. He started to freak out, making Kurama laugh. At least, your suffering does bring me some entertainment. But I'm forced to only help you in the right way. Your body is a slime. A very powerful slime that was once known as a demon king, a demon lord, a being of immaculate powers. However, all of them has been whittled away. But as you can see from what happened earlier, you are slowly regaining all those powers, such as your heat resistance. Flames won't bother you that much anymore. And now outside, it's getting rather cold and you're without a shirt. Reigniting, cold resistance, Kurama said. And with those two combined, you've awakened thermal fluctuation resistance, also reacquiring pain nullification and burn nullification as well, increasing your density. As Kurama realized that the boy was still freaking the hell out on being a slime. Hey brat, are you listening to me? He shouted. As Naruto looked up for a moment. Just focus on returning back to what you once were before. Alright, I'll give it a try, said Naruto. The next moment, Naruto was like 10 feet tall, with muscles all over him. Huh, you think that highly of yourself? As Naruto chuckled a bit embarrassedly. I guess I was over-exaggerating, he said, as he returned back to normal. Hey, so what does all of this mean for me? Means you're gonna be stuck in my head giving these stupid comments when I don't want them. If I could leave, I would leave. Besides, you stupid brat, you should be grateful. There is no one else on this planet that possesses the great Kurama. And you have no idea just how truly powerful you can become. Naruto paused when he heard that. How powerful are we talking about? Mastering all your previous skills. You shall become a god. Hey, Naruto. Naruto was snapped out of his inner escape as Sasuke arrived with a shirt for him. Taking it from the Uchiha, Naruto placed it on. Much better, he said. Who am I kidding? I didn't feel the cold, Naruto thought to himself. So, what's up with that thing, Sasuke said. Well, if I'm going to tell you, you're gonna have to keep it a secret. From who, Sasuke asked. Everyone. Even Mom? Sasuke said, narrowing his eyes towards Naruto. Yes, even Mom. Until I figure all of this thing out. There's a lot more that you don't know. Naruto looked around, even about who my father is. Who is that? Sasuke said. Naruto brought his hand to Sasuke's ears and whispered. The Uchiha eyes went wide. Time skip. Naruto learned a lot about himself. In just a couple of months, he had a technique known as Predator. It allowed him to consume targets and gain their ability, analyze materials, and store them in a separate dimension. And Kurama told him that this was just the first section of this ability, that it would soon evolve. And Kurama's main ability was something that helped him analyze situations, use his abilities, and make decisions with superhuman calculations. And the more he used his skill, the stronger it would become, the more Kurama would evolve. As he told him that his body had yet to reach its full potential, it wasn't even close. However, with his Predator skills, Naruto could break down objects and turn it into chakra. It depended on the kind of things that he absorbed. As Naruto was shocked every single time, he was hearing more and more things. The only person that was aware of all of this was Sasuke other than himself, as they were keeping it quiet for now until Naruto fully learned everything. His family always tried their best to watch his back and protect him. Imagine what Fukaku or the elders would do if they knew that he had such abilities, which would lead to something rather unholy. After all, Mikoto would never stood and allow Fukaku to ever make a move against him. Neither would Itachi. Naruto did not want to put them in that situation, so for now they were keeping it quiet. As the time went by, Naruto was awakening abilities that he once had in his former life. It was called Magicule. However, now it was tied in with his chakra, the both of them fusing and becoming one, to keep things as normal as it would in this world. They were simply calling it chakra despite it not exactly being that anymore, although it did possess the same qualities and several other qualities that made chakra look weak. While all of this was going on, Sasuke was able to get the fireball jutsu down. Even then, Fukaku did not seem proud. However, Naruto was by his side to cheer him up. They started the academy, and the both of them were immediately a hit. Sasuke more so. However, Naruto was seen as his brother, and not to mention his much more friendlier attitude than Sasuke, even talking to the fangirls, got a lot of them crushing on him. So yes, both boys were having a good time, despite the big secret that they were keeping. However, unlike Sasuke, who was not really focusing much on what was going on around him, Naruto always had a keen eye for details. As he started to see the behavior from the citizens towards the Uchiha clan, something was not right. Something hasn't been right for some time now, but it was getting worse. The real tragedy happened when Shisui took his own life. At the moment, Itachi was by himself, simply gazing out towards the scenery, one of the places that he came to be alone. However, he heard something as he turned to see Naruto climbing up to reach where he was. Itachi looked towards him as Naruto got on and sat down nearby. He had a worried expression written all over his face. I heard what they said. Why would they think that you had anything to do with Shisui's death? Naruto said, looking towards Itachi. It was just a misunderstanding. There is nothing for you to worry about. But there is. You're just not telling me. I've seen the way people are reacting. I've seen the way that they're speaking about our clan. I see the way they look at us, like we're the villains now. Itachi turned to face him fully. Many would say that the Sharingan is one of the best visual tools. However, I think that your eyes are better than all of us sometimes. Itachi said, looking towards him. No, said Naruto. Not this time. What do you mean? You're always doing this. Putting away my concerns with quotes and things that you don't want me to know. Is something wrong? If it is, I want to know what it is. Maybe I can help. Itachi's gaze was focused directly on Naruto. As he did not speak as Naruto was quiet, he raised his hand before he placed it on Naruto's head, and he looked at him. The best you can do right now is simply attend the academy and then graduate. You said that you wanted to become a ninja like me, correct? Well, I don't usually slack off, Itachi said. And besides, if there is anything wrong, we, the adults, will handle it. Despite how brilliant you are, you're still a child. And such weight should never be placed on your shoulder. However, you've always trusted me, correct? Naruto nodded. Then trust me when I say that. I'll make sure that everything is fine. I promise. I won't allow anyone to hurt you, he said, looking at Naruto. Naruto was worried by his words. However, Itachi played it so cool. Naruto decided that he wasn't going to ask anymore. He was going to find out himself because Itachi would not tell him. Returning from a long mission outside the village, when Itachi got home that night, he snuck in without a sound, headed straight to his room to get some well-deserved rest. He's been out lately, hardly returning back home. After all, he wasn't a normal ninja anymore. He was a part of the Anvu. They barely saw him. However, there were some times that he returned back home on special occasion, and this was one of them. He was usually gone by the morning, so, well, it was hard to speak to him. Naruto has been waiting for this opportunity for some time now. As he snuck into his room, not as he was, Naruto completely morphed and turned. As he turned into a slime, he slither across the ground. Sound erasure. He was making no sound. Finally, as he crawled up the side of Itachi's bed, he started to release a gas. Just as an extra precaution, it would keep Itachi asleep. Naruto has learned a lot. In the 1 year and couple of months that had passed, he would be turning 7 years old very soon. Looking down towards the sleeping form of Itachi, Naruto placed a hand on his head. Now, Kurama, he said. Memory manipulation. Mental link. Naruto linked himself to Itachi. In the state that Itachi was in, his guard was completely down. He was asleep, out cold. As Naruto went into his mind, one of the techniques that he had recently awakened, Naruto was able to see the memories of someone. It depends on the state that they were in. They could resist him. In fact, they could plainly kick him out of their mind because he wasn't as strong as he was supposed to be right now. However, the gas would keep Itachi asleep for some time as Naruto went into his mind. Naruto was horrified as time excelled further in his mind than it did in the real world. In the real world, it was about 30 seconds. When Naruto backed away, he was downright horrified to what he saw. Time skip. Naruto was seated with Mikoto. As Sasuke was off training as he usually did, Mikoto was tending to her garden. She had a rather lush garden that she tended with, as Naruto was always there, helping her. She smiled as she watched him. When he suddenly paused, there was a look on his face. He turned to face her completely. As he just looked at her, she reached up as she wiped the dirt off his face. What's wrong, sweetie? She said. Fukaku does not like me, said Naruto. One bit. Now, honey, you let me finish, said Naruto. He doesn't want me to have the Uchiha name. Him and the elders doesn't want me to have any contact with that name. That is why I'm still known as Naruto Uzumaki. You, Sasuke, and Itachi always try to make me feel welcome here. But aren't I a burden to you? I mean, you had a happy family before, and now you and your husband don't even get along because of me. Wasn't it best to just leave me, he said. Mikoto brought her hands as she held him by the cheek. As she pinched him, "Ow," said Naruto. "Why would you even think that?" she said. "I've told you my reasons before, more than once. You bringing this up makes absolutely no sense. Yes, you are right. You're a big boy now, so you know that things between me and Fukaku has not been good for some time now. However, it was never just you. It was the fact that he saw me as something to be confined and not to have my own options. Kushina was my best friend. We would have done anything for one another. If I was the one that did not make it that night, I am sure without a doubt that Sasuke would be living with her and she would take care of him. So I did not hesitate when I got the chance to adopt you. So don't let me hear you saying that again. Because despite what has happened with me and Fukaku, I love how things played out. I love that I got the chance to raise you into the young man that you are right now," she said, hugging him. Naruto stood there. As he placed his arms around her, there was a reason why he said what he said. Because he had a plan. Yes, he had a plan. Time skip. It was late in the night, extremely late. As Naruto stepped out, "There is no turning back now," Kurama said to him. "I know," said Naruto. Naruto was dressed in all black. His face was covered just in case. Just his eyes were on display as he tightened the gloves around his hand. "I know there's no turning back," he said. "However, if I don't do this, the people I love, they will die. And I will not stand by and allow that to happen. I have the power to do something about it. And you're damn sure that I will," said Naruto. As he made his way off, as he transformed into a slime, his clothing also shifted as well. As Naruto quickly flashed through the Uchiha compound, making his way. Time skip. A root ninja was calmly walking down the hallway of his underground secret base, where all the other root ninjas lie. As he was making his way, when something fell on his head. Reaching up, it was a pebble. Confusion marred his face because, how did this pebble get in here? The moment he looked up, he saw a strange, was that a slime? Before he could even voice his thoughts, the thing jumped down towards him and wrapped around him and containing him. As Naruto fully absorbed the man into himself, they had been watching Itachi. After learning that Itachi was working for both sides, well, he was mainly working for the village and spying on the Uchiha. Itachi didn't want a war, as Naruto knew about the coup. They were watching him. There was one of them wearing that same mask, as Naruto had sensed him when he was keeping an eye on Itachi to make sure that he didn't make a move. That was the first time he ever absorbed someone. He absorbed him and it felt strange. But he did absorb him. He took him over, not just his physical form, but his memories, his traits. He knew everything about the man. And Naruto knew now that Danzo was a wicked, cruel, corrupted, manipulated individual. The seal that was on the man's body had tried to burn Naruto and destroy him from the inside, as it was fixed with multiple matrix, but Naruto's slime body proved to be more capable than your average foe. That is when he learned everything. This subordinate did not know a lot. Danzo, despite using them as pawns, did not tell them a lot. However, he did know where the base was. He did know the times of when they move. And he knew that majority of them would be here at this time. So Naruto infected the base. He transformed into the one that he just absorbed, knowing that returning as the one that he absorbed some time ago would be seen as suspicious. One by one, Naruto absorbed them, walking up to them, pretending to be one of them. As he had the weapons, he had the mask, he had everything. He absorbed them one by one, taking control of the base. He had to be very careful to make sure that no one give his position away. As Naruto went around, luckily, the root ninjas' numbers were not that great. After consuming all of them within the base except for a few select ones, Danzo always kept these ones near to him. As Naruto arrived towards the scene, walking down the hall, Danzo looked up. In front of him was Fu and Torun, two of his special trained members. Confusion marred Danzo's face as he spoke, demanding to know why this operative was here right now. "Sir, we have a problem. Someone has broken in the base," he said, moving towards him. As his mannerism and voice, everything was perfect. Naruto went towards Torun first, not quite knowing a lot about them. The root ninjas' abilities were separate, their squadron. They worked together, but the one that he absorbed first was a low-level runt. However, all the memories that he assimilated, his mind was able to process all of them, thanks to the great Kurama, able to process information at 100-time rate than your normal individual, as Naruto knew everything. Seeing his opportunity as he was about to say something, but instead, he reached for Torun. However, this one was far skilled than the others. He weaved away from Naruto's touch before he gripped Naruto's other hand with his own, infecting him. As Torun jumped away, Fu dropping into his stance ready to place Naruto under his control. Danzo rising to his feet. He was always a suspicious man. Watching this agent step in, Danzo had believed that there were some truth to his words, given what was going on with the Uchiha clan at the moment, and the one that had the balance within his hand, that was Itachi Uchiha. Looking towards his arm that was starting to become infected, when Kurama spoke up in his head, Naruto had went to the nearby forest in the past year span in order to learn a lot more that dealt with absorbing a few animals. And the spiders out there had toxins. However, none of them compared to this one, as his poison resistance was increased by the molecular structure that was trying to course through his veins, his body overwriting it and purifying the cells that were there. While Naruto's slime form was basically a mass, his human body was not just a creation of his slime form. It was an actual physical body that could be changed to his will. But it was physical because he was born in this world. Yes, it was a complicated matter, but think of the both of them as combining into one, but the physical structure was still there and the slime structure was still there. So Naruto's body also adapt, which made him more special than what he once was in his former life. Slowly but surely, as his hand turned fully blue, before returning back to normal, all the purpler infections vanished. They were tiny little bugs that were trying to infect him. Torun was shocked Never seen someone get rid of his poison like that before. Who are you? Danzo said, as Naruto shifted back to his normal form. He enhanced his height a bit to be on their level. A blade morphed into his hand. It was one of theirs that he absorbed. Naruto dashed forward, not saying a word. However, in that moment he was hit with Fu, mind manipulation technique. He was a member of the Yamanaka clan. Subdue him now, said Danzo, as Torun moved towards him. That is when Kurama spoke up, reacquiring body possession and mind manipulation, combining into seizing control. That is when Naruto opened his eyes, but now he was in the body of Fu, as Fu was not moving within Naruto's body. Seeing the kunai at his waist, Naruto plucked it out. With one quick step he thrusts, slamming it right into the neck of Torun. Naruto froze up. Absorbing people was one thing, but killing someone for the first time, he froze up. Yes, he did. And that cost him, as Danzo used the tip of his cane where a blade was located to drive it right through Torun's back and through his chest. Realizing that his operative had been seized, immediately Naruto was flung back to his body. As Torun died, Naruto's hands were shaking as he looked towards the corpse on the ground. Danzo wasted no time, showing that he had weapons on his person at all times. Shurikens dropped right in his hand, right out of his sleeve. He exhaled, wind on the shuriken, creating a spinning weapon of death. He launched it directly at Naruto. Naruto was still stunned by his first kill, having never truly taken someone's life. Absorbing someone was different, because he felt their essence. He didn't think of it as death, despite the fact that he could not bring them back if he fully absorbed them. Keeping them contained inside of his separate dimension was one thing, but completely absorbing their essence was another thing entirely. However, to keep his mind pure, after all he was still a child, you had to keep that in mind. He thought of it as something else and convinced himself that it wasn't death, but to truly see someone's blood and to see the life leaving their eyes. Naruto's mind was extremely powerful, able to record moments in time just like the Sharingan. So he was able to remember what he saw. Seeing that man bleeding out and dying in front of him, it was an experience that he has yet to live. And this was the worst time that he should be experiencing that. Kurama called out to him as danger was coming his way. However, Naruto actively blocked it out, as the thing split Naruto in half, separating his lower half from his top half, the both of them collapsing on the ground, causing Danzo to step further as he made his way towards the down boy. However, upon reaching too close, that is when Danzo realized his grave mistake, as Naruto's body had turned into a slime. The sliced area, as Naruto wasn't allowing himself to regenerate. He snapped his gaze up and launched himself. Danzo tried to push him away, but Naruto's hand wrapped around his body, completely submerging around Danzo's hand. He tried to fight it off, but it wasn't something that he could peel off that easily, as Danzo reached up and ripped the bandage off his face with his other free hand. He didn't want to use this so soon, but however, he was unable to, as Naruto spewed the sleeping gas right in his face, causing Danzo to sway and stop fighting, allowing Naruto to fully absorb him into himself. Naruto's lower half had turned into slime also and fused back with his body completely. Now all he was a blue slime on the ground, unmoving. As Naruto started to return back to normal, the memories of Danzo processing in his mind at an alarming rate. As Naruto sat down where he was, The root ninjas were rootless, cold-hearted beings, but Danzo, the things that he's done, despite his more serious attitude than Sasuke, revolving around scene details that Sasuke tend to not focus on, Naruto had no idea that the world was this corrupted, that people like this could exist in a world like this, causing unnecessary bloodshed and chaos for what? A little bit of power, money, land, slaughtering whole families, wiping out entire bloodlines. It rocked Naruto to his very core as he saw the true wickedness of mankind in that moment. And for a 6-year-old child, it was a lot. Actually, it was too much for him to take on. Yes, it was too much. Mentally, that is. However, knowing that if he did not finish what he started, the people that he loved would die, Naruto steeled himself and got to his feet. As he raided Danzo's location, Kurama started to speak because Danzo didn't just come as Danzo. As Naruto acquired the Sharingan, he also acquired the cells of Hoshirama Senju. As the mutation fused with Naruto's body, all of the harmful things that Danzo had on him, such as his seal to take someone with him if he was going to die, was filtered out of Naruto. The rest, his essence was turned into chakra, his memory separating, breaking down inside of Naruto as he absorbed it all, arriving as he saw Danzo's stuff. Naruto held his hand out as they turned to slime as he absorbed all of the weapons. He absorbed the books as well, as he also absorbed all of the materials that were there. Some of them looking like poison he did not know. However, they would help him in the long run. He cleaned the entire place out, absorbing some scrolls as well. Kurama relaying everything back to him. As Naruto knew that he still had time, with that he left the underground place. Not a body in sight, not a soul in sight. Naruto was back at the Uchiha compound sometime later as he made his way. Knowing what he had to do, all of the members of the police force sided with Fukaku, while they did not show him direct hostility. They made sure to go out of their way to simply ignore him. However, as for the simple Uchihas, those that work at the bakery, work in the markets, the mothers, the fathers that did not fight, while their children was grown, as there was no other kids that were the same age as Naruto and Sasuke. All the others were either a genin now, or perhaps a small baby at the moment. There was no other kids that was at the academy with them with the last name Uchiha. As Naruto steeled himself as he knew exactly what he had to do, making his way to the Uchiha compound. As he bypassed the security, he's been planning this for a few days now. Given his help from Kurama, Naruto knew precisely what to do. As he got inside of the Uchiha police force, there were members there on 24-hour shift. As Naruto prepared himself, knowing that he had to do this extremely fast, he transformed into a rat as he ran towards a corner under the shelf, making his way towards the main office. As Naruto transformed back, his palm had a hole in it. Silk, powerful iron silk, thrusted from it and wrapped around the guy in the chair. Before he could say a word, Naruto covered his mouth and then merged with him, completely absorbing him into himself. He then quickly took his place by transforming in him. The ruckus of him moving around had caused someone to question what was going on in there. Enter, said Naruto. Another Uchiha came in. His name was Aoi. Is everything alright? He said. I heard some strange noises. I think we have a problem, the other said as he got out of the chair, stepping towards him. It's these papers. Come and have a look, he said, walking around the table. Naruto saw the glass window that was there, so he gestured him over towards a point where there was no one that could see them here. Once he was securely out of sight, Naruto wrapped his arm around his mouth, surprising him as he absorbed him. Naruto blinked. What did you say? He spoke to Kurama mentally. Another evolution with his absorption technique. Immediately Naruto understood, as he fused the image directly into his very mind. Naruto proceeded to leave the room, still transformed as the head Uchiha. Not Fukaku of course, but in terms of this department, as he made his way down the hall, heading towards the bathroom, where someone was in the stall. Naruto put his hand towards the door, and immediately, purple and blue energy combining. As it shot out, the Uchiha tried to scream, but the essence started to manipulate the sound around him, as Naruto held his hand out, trying to contain it as it wrapped around him, slowly gripping and twisting him. Slowly his body started to break down before he was absorbed into Naruto. This was a lot harder than the other one. However, he just acquired this technique. His body was getting used to these abilities, allowing him to perform them a lot faster. Naruto immediately transformed into his slime form and leaped upon the ceiling as someone entered. The moment they were fully in and closed the door, he expanded and dropped down and wrapped around them, slowly fusing them into his body, locking them away. Everyone's memories, their essence, started to rush back to him. It was having a mental kick on Naruto, despite knowing what they would do. However, knowing that they were doing this for their clan, for their people. Some of these guys had children. Memories of that. However, Kurama came with a solution. However, it was too late as he was able to block out those memories. But Naruto knew that he was blocking out memories because it was memories he didn't want to see. As it was really difficult on the young boy. He was just 6 after all. He didn't have the mental capacity of some Jonins to do whatever it takes. Despite doing this, it was mentally affecting him on a much greater level than one would realize. Well, all would soon be able to witness that. As Naruto went around doing his thing, absorbing one Uchiha after another, until the place was empty. He then went to the houses of those that were part of the force. He remembered all of their faces after all. Itachi attended the meeting so Naruto was able to see their faces. The last one that was left, and perhaps the hardest one, despite the fact that Fukaku hated him. He was robbing Sasuke of his father, despite the fact that Sasuke was neglected emotionally by him. He was robbing him of his father, it was still his father. And he was doing the same to Itachi and robbing Mikoto of her husband, despite the indifference between the both of them at the moment, which was caused by him. The mental stress was getting to Naruto, but yet he went to the house once again. He had placed the entire family under a deep sleep, spraying the sleeping gas on each and every one of them. He had planned his plan accordingly, realizing that Itachi came home on every 3 days of the week to just get away from that place, the route, agent location. However, confusion marred Naruto's face as he did not enter Fukaku's room, because he wasn't mentally ready for that yet, but given the things that he had done. However, Fukaku was not there. No, he was not. Naruto searched the entire damn place. However, Fukaku was nowhere to be seen, as Naruto started to wonder what the hell was going on. Yes, he started to wonder what was going on. Naruto sat down and started to focus on his senses, spreading his senses out, trying to locate him due to the chakra particles in the air. He could slowly feel the people around him, the sleeping Sasuke, the sleeping Mikoto, the sleeping Itachi. Naruto's eyes widened as he felt Fukaku at the police force headquarters. How the hell did he miss him? Naruto took off at blinding speed, as fast as he could possibly go to him. However, the man was moving, heading towards the edge of the compound. Naruto dashed from rooftop to rooftop, making his way as he slowly arrived. "I know you're there." Naruto's eyes widened in shock. Was he talking to him? How was that possible? That didn't make any sense. How would he know? "Come out, Naruto," he said. Naruto couldn't believe it. He slowly jumped down, taking his human form. "So I was correct. You are not natural after all," he said. "How did you know?" said Naruto. As he looked at the man, "I had my suspicions. I've seen you listening in on conversations that you shouldn't be listening in on. I've also done the same. Hearing you having conversation with my wife, hearing the things that you ask. To her, it might seem like a troubled child trying to accept his part in the clan where he's not wanted, but I was able to see through your deception. You wanted to see or to surmise her reaction after you go through with what you did. And I've checked the houses. I checked the compound. How did you get rid of them all? Every single member is a part of what is to come. The others have no clue, even the elders as well. I suppose they were easy picking for you given your advanced age. However, as for the police force, how were you able to take them down?" he said, slowly walking, as Naruto followed behind him. Naruto watched him very carefully, his eyes precisely focused on him. "I'm not going to tell you, because it doesn't really matter, because I have to take you down as well." "Is that so?" said Fukaku. "I presume that you know more than you let on, and you know about the coup." "Don't bother. Your reaction says it all. You're rather a clever boy, but your emotions give you away. You're smart, but you're not as smart as you believe. Look of what you've done to my clan. I never want you here to begin with. I never wanted you a part of this clan. You were not a Uchiha. But it wasn't just that. More reasons, and yet that woman defied my orders. And now you've ruined her." "I've not ruined anything," said Naruto. "You're the one that just couldn't accept it. Why should I accept you? She already has 2 children to look after, and yet she went out of her way to take care of you, of all people. Just like your father, having to get involved in everything," he said. You know who my father is. Given your face, I presume you know who he is as well." I do. I never liked your father. It might seem calm on the outside, but there are things that I'm not willing to divulge right now because it doesn't really matter. But it was an insult to my name, her taking you in, given the relationship that your father and I shared. I did not care much for that Uzumaki woman either. But yet, my wife did. And for her, I was willing to sacrifice some, but she crossed a line when she went behind my back and took you in, despite my wishes. We're not even together anymore. On the outside, it might seem like we are, but you ruined it all," he said. Naruto clenched his fists, starting to feel some regret as the man spoke to him. "But it doesn't matter now, does it? Because I found a solution to everything. While you might have weakened my clan greatly by exterminating a few, making us even less than the goddamn Hyugas, my plans will not be stopped. This village was founded on the back of 2 people, Hoshirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, but yet everyone seemed to forget what Madara has done as well. The force that he brings, the might that he brings, from his name alone to make other nations fear us. And more, we're being pushed out of the village. We're being pushed away like we're nothing but common trash. Well, I've had enough. If you're capable of this, then you're capable of so much more. That is why I will use you to get what I deserve, he said. He activated his Sharingan. As Naruto took a step back, Naruto realized that he had followed him during his walk-in as they were now in an empty training field. Naruto gulped slightly, holding his hands up. However, the man simply snarled, "Please, you think you can compare to me, child? I'm not like those other Uchihas. Let me show you." His eyes changed, turning into the Mangekyo Sharingan as Naruto's eyes widened. But guys, be end episode right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends and your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.